we're going to look at something a little bit different here today. Figured I would look at one of those Win 3.1 shareware games that were so rampant back in the early Windows 3.1 days. This one I found on one of those Game Empire compact discs that had like 3 million shareware games in it. These were actually of surprisingly decent quality, and I happened to come across Slam. It's a fully functional shareware game. I suppose it could be more accurately called guiltware, as it doesn't take away any of the game. It just presents this little message at the beginning telling you that you should register the game or you're a bad person. And for only $10, you can get rid of that slight guilty feeling. Apparently made by Robert Epps of Newport Beach, California. Slam is a tabletop air hockey game controlled with the mouse. Now, now that I think of it, I actually don't see too many air hockey games, especially in Windows 3.1. The only other that really comes to mind is Shuffle Puck Cafe, and I know that was on DOS. I don't think it was on Windows. So if anything, the game gets points just for being somewhat original. If you're familiar with air hockey, the concept of the game is about as obvious as you can get. You're the blue paddle on the bottom of the screen, your computer-controlled opponent is at the top of the screen, and you try to hit the purple hockey puck into your opponent's hole. Yes, like real hockey, the game does perpetuate violence. As the game goes on, it gets quicker and more heated. And eventually, when somebody gets enough points, I think it's 11, then it's over, and you will either be taunted or congratulated, or some mixture of the two. As far as gameplay, that's it, but there are also options in the options menu to optionize. The first is the opponent options, and on the default setting of whatever it is, it's actually pretty tough, mainly because of how quick the puck moves, and that can't be changed. So I ended up taking the quickness and aggressiveness down quite a bit to make the game at least a little more on par with what I am capable of doing. The other options are the color schemes, and you have the two choices of the default color scheme, which kind of looks like you're playing on a snooker table, and the monochrome scheme, which is in monochrome. Not really sure what that's about. I've never used a monochrome Windows 3.1 before. You can also just right-click on any of the parts of the table in order to change the colors to something maybe a little more appropriate to an air hockey table. There's also the option to change the view angle, which is useful up to a point. You can make it a completely overhead game, which actually makes the gameplay quite different and is pretty fun to do. But you can also make it 0 degrees, which you're not seeing anything. I have no idea what the point of that is, except that I guess you can do it, so you may as well. Messing with the different angles is enjoyable when you're really, really bored. I wish I had this game back in the study hall days. Back in school, it was always about the Windows Entertainment Pack playing Jezball and Tetris. And of course the old standbys, Solitaire and Free Cell. If I'd have had Slam, I would have been adjusting those viewing angles and coming up with all sorts of color schemes all day long. Would have been awesome. But instead I have it today when I could be playing something else. So in that respect, Slam isn't really that great. It is what it is. It's an air hockey game for Windows 3.1. It's super simple, and it doesn't do much at all except that you can change the viewing angle and the colors. If that sounds like fun to you, try it out. It's actually a decent little time waster if all you have is Windows 3.1 and a minute and a half to kill. It's also worth noting that Robert Epps has made this game freeware, so it is now available as a free download. I don't know when this happened. Apparently Mr. Epps had all sorts of plans for future versions like network multiplayer, computer opponent personalities, obstacles like bumpers on the table, better sound effects. Sadly, I don't think any of this happened. All I've seen is 1.0 from 1993. So that's all you get. Slam. It's a good time. Air hockey.